What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Riverdale Season 6, Episode 4, and it's called Chapter 99, The Witching Hour.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the end of the podcast. We're going to go through our recap roundups, your recap roundups. There was so many. You guys were very vocal after this episode.
Whoa.
So let's get into it.
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us get into this episode.
We're on Twitter.
Instagram, Twitter,
so if you
Facebook,
want to contact us and chat, message us on Instagram, message us on Twitter. We talk to our fans. So.
We do. All right. Well, right off the top, we have to talk about feedback. We just got to give them some feedback. What did you think about the episode? Okay. We haven't talked about this, so I'm excited.
No, we haven't.
I loved this episode, like, a lot. I think that it is up there in terms of, like, one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. It is a story that I didn't think that we needed, but we got it, and I'm like, whoa, I wanted this. Like, it was so well done. It explains Cheryl's character, like, through and through, I think, in so many ways. Of course, there's that little caveat at the very end that I'd love to talk to you about. But outside of that, I think that, like, we get so much understanding of who Cheryl is and her history, obviously, because it goes into the past. But I loved it. I loved the way that they did this episode. I think it was beautifully shot, beautifully edited. It was great. I loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think like it's something that I didn't know I wanted, and like it was amazing. I have to say shout out to the production because it was done beautifully, from the shots to the wardrobe to the acting to the music. The music made me feel so many types of ways. I loved it. It was brilliant. But like you're saying, now I get Cheryl, but this might not even be like Cheryl. Does this exist outside of Riverdale? Like does this like ancestral like thing live in Riverdale? I think I would have loved it, and I totally get that it goes with this vibe of like this whole weird anthology whatever section of the series, but like now I'm questioning like what's real and like how much actually did happen. Is this gonna carry over to Riverdale? And I don't know, I think the ending was a little confusing where like it left me thinking about like a lot, but like it left me thinking like it's almost like I'm thinking too much of the details and I'm not really like diving into the beauty of the whole story of like how it should be, because everything sounds so effing confusing. And like at the end she's like, I'm Nana Roseanne, and I'm like, what? Like wait, you're Nana Rose now? Like, so you're not Cheryl? So Cheryl doesn't exist? Like, so our Cheryl doesn't exist? Like I had a hard time like being okay with like these, being okay with that. Even Britta was like, wait, so like Cheryl never existed? Like she was just like a thing of that woman. Like, so it's a little weird to grasp onto, but like I did enjoy the ride, and I did enjoy like the episode. It was really good. Yeah. And it sounded like everyone loved it too. So yeah, really
well done. Let's get into the episode and talk about it, because there's lots to talk about. Starts off with Jughead, as he has been throughout this entire miniseries, narrating, but he's in Thornhill this time, and he's talking about the stories of the women of Thornhill, and he says they're waking up both past and present, and it's this beautiful montage of Cheryl getting out of bed, Poppy Blossom he shows next, who's in the 1960s I believe, and then Abigail Blossom, who's in the 1800s, and all of them are getting up, starting their day. So cool. Like I thought it was really well done.
It was beautiful. Did you feel like it was missing like audio though? Like I felt like it was like quiet. Like there was music.
Yeah.
And I felt like my stream was just glitching out. I was like, where's like I'm thinking like Jughead's gonna be narrating over that sequence.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, where's the audio? But whatever.
I think it was just music being played.
It was just music. It
felt like an opening to a film, which I think that they've done this a few times.
I think they wanted.
The one thing that I will say, like, it's very comparative to Hiram, because Hiram's story, like, they went back in the past and all that stuff too, and it had that very filmic vibe to it. The way they cut between each person, like picking up a brush, and then it was the other person in a different time putting their lipstick on, like. It was so seamless, so well done, wrapping like shots into like zooming into flowers and zooming out to somebody wearing flowers like on their dress. Like very, very well done. I was blown
Artistic.
away.
Yeah, no, it was
Very
beautiful.
artistic.
Yeah.
So we get this introduction of all the three characters,
We didn't
Poppy,
even talk
Abigail,
about
and Cheryl.
Sabrina at the top of the episode. Like, that's how much she was not even in this
she
episode
didn't exist.
that you and I didn't even mention her, and we've been waiting for a year for her crossover. We didn't even mention her. I just realized that.
Yeah. She was completely irrelevant to
Sorry,
this
guys,
entire story.
not to like mix it, but like, yeah, she
did not matter to me. She didn't even need to be there. She was not necessary to the story.
I know we'll talk about it after, but
anyway.
like, it was just funny that like neither you and I even mentioned the fact that she was in this episode.
Yep, she was in it. And
like,
you're right, we were so
this
excited.
Sabrina episode. Like, this was the Sabrina crossover.
And they were pushing that too quite a bit. And anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So it cuts to Cheryl and she's talking to her students. So this is current time, talking to her students about Bailey's comet. So I guess it's like Haley's comet in the real world.
Yeah.
And it's coming to Riverdale. It comes every 62 years or something like that. And it's a very momentous day. And we're not really sure exactly why that is just yet. But she says that all the girls can go up to like a particular part in the forest and stargaze or see it like pass, but she's not going to be there because Nana's not feeling well, and she's going to be with her to prep her to transition to the afterlife. So she's like right out saying Nana's like pretty much dead, and like I'm sending her to the afterlife.
That like de-escalated pretty quickly. Like she like, I'm like, you were fine. What happened? And
they never, she didn't have
really
like an
sad, actually,
accident or anything. She just like, I'm dying. And I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I guess we're supposed to be okay with this. That being said, the way that she said it so nonchalantly, and I don't know if it has to do with like when you're a witch, the idea of afterlife is like more than just like dying. It's like the rebirth and all that kind of stuff. Or if it just had to do with the fact that they were doing something magical that they knew that she wasn't necessarily
She's not
dying.
a witch though. Like Nana's not a witch.
I think that they're all connected in some way. Like Abigail was a witch, so it's in their lineage.
The three of them were, but Nana wasn't part of the three, right? She was like her own person.
Yeah, I guess. And
She's not part of that three like linked thing.
And everyone, please, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Half of these bitches, like
I'm high.
Between Poppy, between Poppy and Abigail, they were in their houses alone and didn't bear children. So that's the part that I said this last season too.
Oh my god, I can't even get into that part of it. Someone on Twitter was like, hold on, if they had a baby, I'm like, girl, I'm not even there yet. I'm trying to figure out the first line.
Make it all make sense.
Because I can't make it make sense.
There was no connection there.
No. I can't even think about like the baby part of
the lineage side of things. Yeah, there's no freaking way. Like, how did she even come back to life every single time? Or wait, anyway.
Hold on.
Is it because she's immortal?
No.
Anyway.
No, but like, okay. Okay, hold on.
But then who's that? Rose?
Yeah, exactly. Cheryl's mom is Penelope, but the dad was the son of Nana Rose, right? Like that's what Nana Rose is, like Cheryl's dad's mom. So that's fine. But then like, where did Nana come from? Like who gave birth to Nana? We're not even 10 minutes into this podcast and we're already finding like these loopholes.
The thing that didn't make sense to me was that exactly, like, I thought that Nana would be a part of Poppy's story. Because Poppy is the closest to Nana's timeline in terms of like the 60s, like, and then I had Nana and then it was fine. Like,
yeah, but she's not.
No, she's not. There's no connection there. So
then who the hell gave birth to Nana Rose? Right? Yeah, to Nana. Who gave birth to Nana?
I don't know.
Unless she like adopted her or something. Like in the way where they should have just, why didn't they clear that up? They should have cleared that up. I love how like at the end, Britta's like, yo, I'm not sold. She's like, I still have questions. And Sabrina's like, let's go have milkshakes.
Yeah, she's like, let's leave. Yeah.
But I'd rather just get to the answer of this.
Can you keep talking right now? Because I can't be there. Like, so the episode is already 45 minutes long. I gotta go. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, we're 10 minutes in. We can't stop ourselves. So let's try to like hold all our feelings about this confusion to the end.
Well, no, I think it's good too. I didn't even think of that till you said it. I was like, true. I didn't even like my brain didn't even go there.
So anyway, she's transitioning to the afterlife, and Then it shows Cheryl sitting down beside Nana at her bedside, and like Nana is not looking good. She is looking like she's like ready to die.
But she's also
And
like talking. She's like, I'm good. She's like, tell me the story. Like, give me
yes,
some popcorn. I'd like to
I
eat
want
while
to
you're
know
telling me
the
this, and I am
storyline.
dying. Let's go. I was like, oh, okay, she's still here.
Give me some macaroons. So she tells her that it's like today's Bailey's Comet, and Nana's like sickening, like this is the time, it's perfect. And she confirms whether or not this is what Nana wants to do for sure. Like once you do this, like it is it, that's it. And she says, yes, I'm ready to do it. Again, the question is like,
right now,
Cheryl, are you ready? Like you're
hold
the
on,
one
what
that's
was she
like,
ready to do?
like switch bodies,
Like the transfer.
Transcendence or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh, okay,
Transference.
transference. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm just thinking. Okay, so Nana's actually not dying. Her soul is going
She's
into
switching.
Cheryl. So
Yeah.
she's like lit. She's like, let's get the show on the road. Like, I'm
Like
gonna
if
have
anything,
like fresh
Cheryl
tits
should be
and like,
yeah. If anything, we should have had more shots of Cheryl
Yeah.
like looking in the mirror, being like, "Am I ready to?" Like,
that's
be
what I'm
gone
saying. Like she
forever?"
exactly. Like then there's that connection too, where you're seeing this person is leaving this earth. Like
Yes.
she's coming to terms with that idea, but like it just seemed like they were killing Nana. So like, and then at the end they're like, no. Here's this whole diagram of what's really happening.
Oh my gosh, what an episode.
We're on track. We're on track.
We're on track. So then she's like, okay, we're ready to begin this ritual. And she starts by reading a journal entry, and she starts with Poppy Blossom, which is in the 1960s. And it shows Poppy talking to Tammy, I think Tammy. Tate, like
whatever.
Tate is
Yeah,
like
Tate.
it's her. It's Tabitha, and she talks about how she wants to really run Pops. And so it looks like Poppy is like the person that people go to for like little remedies, like the housewives go to.
Yeah.
They come for like little things here and there. So this is supposed to give the person that is running the show, like make him sick so then she can run Pops or something like that. I was like, your solution is to poison people. Sounds on brand for Cheryl. And then it cuts to Abigail, and she's talking to Tony, because it shows Tony like kind of entering Thornhill, and it's not really Tony. Her name is Thomasina, and she's being interviewed by Abigail about what she did in the past and what she's doing. It turns out she used to be a teacher, but because of the war that's happening, they had to like shut everything down. And Abigail goes on to ask her if she's married. She says, no, I'm not married. And Abigail goes on to say, I have no need for women with husbands. So obviously, low-key, let's be honest, that's exactly what's happening.
Even Thomasina was like, oh, okay.
She's like we're going there.
We're good.
Like, wink, wink. So then Thomasina, it turns out she's from Greendale. So you already know that there might be some like magic-y situation with Thomasina. Yeah. And she's like, let's do this. Like, you're hired. So she shakes her hand, and as soon as she shakes her hand, like candles light up, like in all different periods of time. It's like magic is coming through. And then Abigail yes. So then Abigail talks to her students, and while she's talking to her students about like the daily plan, Thomasina comes in and she's like, oh, but like it's Bailey's Comet tonight. We should all go like stargaze. And it looks like Abigail at this point in time in her life is like very like against like doing anything different or outside of like the norm. So she's like, we can't talk about that. Like, it's so bad if like a woman goes out in the woods at night. Like, that's not a womanly thing to do. But Thomasina seems to come from a different like mindset. That seems
a little inconsistent to who her character is, right? Like,
it is, but at the same time, like, we don't know like where she was at that point in time. Before, like she met Thomasina. Like maybe Thomasina was the one who like invigorated that in her, and that's why she loves her so much.
Yeah.
But anyway, she goes on to talk about the fact that like Thomasina says like all the men have the power. We need to like educate them on all that. But Abigail finally pushes back, and she's like, we're not bringing that nonsense into my house. Like, we're not doing that. So then it cuts to Poppy in the 1960s, and she's hosting something called a salon, where like she has like a bunch of girls over, everyone's over, and it's like Alice, Betty, Veronica, but it's like their past versions. One is named Bitsy, like Betty is Bitsy, and Veronica is named Velma. Alice, I couldn't catch her name, and then
And like, who was Alice? Like, was she Betty's mom in that scenario, or like she was like a random other housewife?
She's just like walking. She's like a really old housewife standing there. I was like, everybody else. Yeah, you know, I didn't know who she was really, even because she didn't say like Bitsy, let's go home now.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it was her mom, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so she's there. They're all talking, and she's talking about Bailey's Comet and how it's got this like special thing. Tammy's like, oh, we should do like a viewing party at Pop's. And then there's a conversation about like war and Russian spies, because I guess it's during that like communist time. And Alice at this point in time is like, oh, like, did you hear about this? Like, this person's sketchy and this person's sketchy. And her idea, like Poppy's idea, is like, we should just keep out of everybody's business, obviously. She's like, I'd like to leave conspiracies at home and not like here. And then Bitsy talks about her like separately. She says her husband, Jack, she's not happy in her marriage, and they already have one child, but he wants to get pregnant again, and she doesn't want to have a child with him. And so she gives, Poppy gives her like a ginger root, so it helps her not get pregnant. And then they hug, and then in like the moment of it all, they make out. I mean, they don't make out.
Let's talk about this real quick, because I kind of liked this moment. Like, it was like really like their chemistry was like, it didn't look forced, it didn't look awkward.
Yeah,
like I was down.
Yeah, I loved it.
I was like, too bad this is like a fake universe and like fake characters. Like, they're not even real.
I know. It was really cool to see, because I didn't know if they were going to keep putting Tony into like her storyline every single time. So it was interesting that they spun it around for her. And also what Bitsy does later kind of like helps with that
100%. And I'm so happy they did that. Like, they didn't keep her with Tony the entire time.
Yeah, because
it added like a lot of tension in these moments.
Yeah,
and they just created like really beautiful pockets of scenes throughout the whole episode. Like this one alone, like the music and the way the shot, like everything it was so beautiful, and like loved it. So
good. And well done. Bitsy pulls away. She freaks out that she realizes that she's a lesbian, and she's like, I'm sorry. And Poppy's like, no, it's not a problem at all. Like, what you're doing is not a problem. I'm totally fine with it.
She's like, I'm good. This is totally good for me.
She's like, keep it coming, man. Like, I'm here for it. And Bitsy's like, I gotta go back to my husband. I'm sorry. So then Abigail, it cuts to Abigail, and she's talking to Thomasina, and this is when she basically apologizes and says, you know, I'm sorry for like wiling out on you earlier. You were right. Like, I do want to teach them like about the realities of the world and the hard truths, and like how the future is actually going to be one day. And then they kiss in their world. And I have to shout out these songs whenever they popped up, because songs and we feel the same way about how music really drives a scene sometimes in these shows and movies. The song is called the song is by London Grammar, and it's called Night Call. And
amazing.
The moment that they gave us, like, the music was phenomenal this episode. Yeah. And this ends up becoming kind of like their theme song, because it comes up a couple of times, especially toward the end when they finally reunite. But like, it was
that song apparently was out like 8 years ago. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I love finding this indie kind of music. This is it. I always find all my best music from TV shows. It's the best. So then as soon as she kisses her, it like quickly snaps to Poppy talking to Velma. It's almost like she was like daydreaming. And now it all makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, because like she was daydreaming about that moment. She Abigail
was. Yes. Got it. Good.
I mean, it still all doesn't make sense, but I'm trying to make as many connections as humanly possible. So she's talking to Velma, and Velma talks about the fact that she wants to spice up her sexy life with her husband. Everything's
vanilla.
It's so vanilla with my husband. So
I was of course Veronica gets the storyline. Like,
I literally was saying the exact same thing. I was like, wow, you really are just gonna like give her the sex problem
like issue. I kind of was upset. I was like, you guys like throw her to the sides and like keep her in the same lane. Like,
but what else are they gonna give her?
I don't know. They could have given her even the business one, because she could have been like, my husband's taking all my money.
Yeah, right. In that
Something.
world, in the 1960s, there's no
Well, they
freaking way she would
would.
have run a business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But the other one's running pop, so like technically that she
True.
is.
But she could barely get that. Like Tammy
That's
was
true.
like basically poisoning her husband so she
Yeah.
could be on the
Yeah.
front counter. So so she gives her the Kama Sutra book and she gives her like some sort of aphrodisiac to like put in his tea so he can have a heart on for longer, I guess, whatever. So then it cuts to Abigail and Thomasina and they're like together.
Wait, can I just pause real quick?
Yes.
It would have been really cute because they legit made the men like so effing evil in this entire episode.
Yeah,
Like there was not a single man that was like, oh my god, he's good.
Everybody
It would have been cute. It would have been cute if like she came with her husband and she was like, yo, how do we like get this? Like, you know, like that would have been cute just to show that like it is still possible to have like a good relationship with a man in that time. Like they made the men so evil, like
separated them completely.
Yeah.
And I guess her husband is Reggie. Like Reggie is
yeah. It was Reggie. Yeah.
So anyway, it's
just it's just me like thinking a little extra, but like it would have been nice to have like one character. And I thought it was gonna be Kevin. I thought the saving grace of the man would be Kevin.
Yeah.
Why do I think that?
Wrong.
But I think he was the worst one.
He was the worst one.
Worst.
Fucking Kevin, man. He literally just isn't the one ever. So then it cuts to Abigail and Thomasina and they're waking up together. Like, you know, she's like, oh, we just, you know, made out all night long. I don't know. And there's a knock on the door and it's Kevin. And he's playing a policeman and he is looking for a murderer and he says it's Thomasina Topaz, like she's a murderess and they're looking for her. And it's really funny actually because it's like a Mean Girls moment where she's like, I can't come because I'm sick. Like she's like, I can't open the door. Yeah,
everyone has scarlet fever in here. And it's like COVID too, right? Like
y'all better leave right now. Like, we're isolating. And she pretends to be sick, and then as soon as he leaves, because as soon as she hears her cough, he like runs up. And
hold on, can I pause here and ask you a question?
Yeah.
If Thomasina Topaz was a witch, doesn't that make Tony a witch?
I guess. Like, and I wish that they delved into it a little bit deeper.
Their line, like they should have explained like that Tony came from this, but then that wouldn't have,
because maybe she like has some different lineage because she does have like Native American roots, right? Like Tony Topaz has Native American roots. So it would have been cool to see if there was like a different connection there. I think it would have been too much for one episode. Like we barely could grasp. We barely got through the first one. One character.
But I was just thinking that I was like, wait, so if that woman, because that woman is a Topaz, it's not like she's just Tony and I think, playing someone else.
And I think to your point, like how much of this is actually based in Riverdale is the real question about this entire series so far. Like this mini series that we're getting is like, how much is this actually transferable fact?
So I read a interview with Madeline.
Yeah.
And she said that some things will cross over and some things won't. So it seems like they're literally picking and choosing what will make the cut and what won't.
So basically the people who died won't die.
Yeah. And even just things like as the viewer, you're like, oh my God, this. And they're like, I'm like, no, they're literally picking what they want that will connect. Then the rest will just like stay. So as much as Roberto said, as much as he said things that happen here will happen here, it's like, no, some things are going to stay, some things will cross over. So it's we don't know.
The one thing that I want to talk about quickly as we're talking about inconsistencies potentially following us to Riverdale is one of the things that Cheryl said in the beginning or the end of last season is she came for all of the townspeople because they basically burned Abigail at the stake, correct?
Yeah.
But they never mentioned that at the end of the episode, saying like they just said like she lived out her days at Thornhill.
Exactly, and she said that she just reincarnated herself to the next person.
Yeah, so
did she do that when they burned her at the stake? Maybe.
But did she reincarnate herself? Oh, I don't know. I thought that she meant immortal, as in she like just kept living as.
That's what I thought. But you're right.
But like maybe she was then if she was reincarnated, then she like died and then came back, kept dying, coming back.
I guess because witches never die.
Yeah, witches never die.
I'm like, bitch, you died.
But you were dead, girl.
You were like in heaven.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, we're once again
you're
getting
like,
too
don't
deep
go
into this.
there.
Like
No,
we're
but
too
you're
too
right.
much.
You're right. Because they did end that season with her burning at the stake. So
Yeah.
does that scene then lead into her
Right.
turning into Poppy? But
Like
then it's like, where was she for like 30, 40 years
yeah, and
longer?
maybe she was like chilling in heaven before she got
Yeah.
reincarnated again. Who knows?
But it would have been cool if they said that. If she was like,
Yeah.
they burned me at the stake and then I came back as this. Like that would have been sick because then you're connecting those
Yeah.
two scenes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just I don't know. You
Anyways.
can't connect it all. So then she goes to, at this point in time, she tells Thomasina, like, tell me everything, like, let me know what happened. And then it cuts to the next scene, which is Poppy answering the door. And it's Jughead, who is actually Jack, who is Bitsy's husband. And he says, keep out of my marriage. I know what you're doing with my wife. Tell her what you told me. And Bitsy now has to move, like, step forward and basically betray Cheryl or Poppy and say, like, you lied to me, you were trying to like seduce me, but then like as she was like being yelled at over her shoulder, like you can see her looking at Betty or Bitsy, and Bitsy's like, sorry. Like she's like, I'm so sorry, girl.
My bad.
My bad. I could not tell him. He my husband. So anyway, she ends up leaving, and Bitsy also says like, I never want to see you again. And but like low key, she's like still in love with her.
Yeah.
Then it cuts to Thomasina and Abigail, and Thomasina explains to her how she used to have a husband, but he was really abusive. And like one night he came home and she knew that he was gonna like kill her. So she ended up killing him, and then she ran away. And that's why she is now at Thornhill. And Abigail's like, sounds good to me, murderess. Like
I still don't
me.
care. You can sleep in my bed tonight.
She's like, you killed a man? Works for me. Like I'm down for it. So then it cuts to Cheryl in present time talking to Nana, and then Britta comes in and she's like, I really want to stay because like I know you guys are doing something.
At this point, who is she telling the stories to?
She's telling Nana.
She's telling Nana the story that Nana would already have known.
Yeah, it's almost like, I guess it's a part of her ritual. She's saying she's like regurgitating all these like history stories. I don't know. I thought this was kind of cool when Britta comes in because it gave me, did you ever watch Princess Diary? No, not Princess Diaries. The Princess Bride. Like when it's like the kid and he's sick and he's being told a story by his grandpa, and then it's like this fantastical world. Anyway, it was very much that vibe, like going in and out of the future and like telling the story. Anyways, shout out to anybody who knows that reference. But Cheryl talks to Nana. Britta comes in, wants to stay, and then Nana's like, come in, child, like you can sit in too. So then it cuts to Poppy, and she gets a knock on the door, and in walks a gang of guys. So it's like Reggie, Kevin, like all the boys, and they're threatening her to leave Riverdale. They're like, we know what you're doing with our wives. You're a devil lady. Like, you better leave right now, or else like there'll be hell to pay. And Poppy's like, I'm not leaving, so get out of my house. So they all kind of like give her glares. Jughead / Jack plays like very evil in this episode.
Total evil. I was like, are you okay? Like
he's
worse
like
than
abusive.
Reggie.
Yeah, very, very bad boy. Anyway, so she's obviously being threatened. Then it cuts to Abigail, and she gets a knock at the door, and some guy from the army comes in. Like he's like, hey, I'm in the army. Can you let me in? She opens the door right away, and it's Fangs, and his name is Fen, I think. Fen Fogarty.
It was like FENN or something.
Yeah. And as he walks in, he kind of like winks at Thomasina, and like Thomasina's
that was like her husband at first, because the way they looked at each other, I was like, oh, here's the ex. Him. Like he came. Yeah.
And also I also thought like, but this obviously isn't the case. I thought that he was gonna be like somebody that's working for like Kevin's character, an interloper or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, why aren't you hiding the literal fugitive? Why are you letting her answer the door with you? Like she should have just like run into like behind a curtain or something. Like you're letting her just be seen by anybody. Anyway, so he walks in. Turns out that he had a letter to deliver to the sister, to Abigail. And it turns out that her brother, who is Jason, she also has a brother in this world, twin brother, and he died in combat in the war. And in the letter, it says it's like sealed and stamped and signed by Jason, or I think his name is Jonathan, like or something like that. Jordan, whatever. It starts with a J. And it says like, you have to marry Fen. Obviously, I was like,
Like,
this ain't
girl, do
real.
your research. And that's the thing that killed me. I was like, girl, really?
Like, you
You're gonna
gonna
be
do this
this
right now?
smart. You're gonna play. You're a witch, and you're gonna believe. Like, scan it with your eyes and like see if it's real. Like, you're a witch.
Like, do
Like,
some like
do
spell on
something.
it or
Yeah.
something.
Like, see if
Yeah.
your brother actually wrote that to you.
Tell me, did
It
he do
just
it or
felt like
not?
such a stupid like turn of events that I was like, she would never just do this though. But I
Yeah.
guess when it comes to her brother, it's showing maybe that like she is that dumb. Like,
She is that gullible. And
she is
also I
that
guess we
girl.
have to like take it to like that time period. Like they had to believe what they saw. Like if
But
it's a
don't, what I'm
seal and
saying is no, they
stamped
don't.
and
She's a witch. Like she's been through the like a regular person, 100%. I
yeah,
understand what you're saying. You'd be like, oh yeah, I trust you because I have nothing else to go off of. But she's a witch. Like she should be like, hold
she should
on,
know
where did you
better.
come from? Who are you?
Yeah.
Da 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 da. Like all these things. It was just like very easy, and I was like, wow, okay,
Okay. Well, thankfully she has Thomasina beside her because Thomasina is not having any of it. And
yeah,
she's like, who is this guy? I don't trust him at all. You don't have to marry this guy at all. And Abigail's like, but I have to. My brother said that like we have to get married. And Thomasina says like he's pretty sketchy. Like let's just do some spying tomorrow before you like make any rash decisions. Like
yeah,
fucking marry this guy. So then it cuts to Poppy, and she comes to Pop's diner, and because of like what happened at her house, everybody is like hating on her. So she asked Tammy for food, and she's sitting at the booth or she's sitting at the bar, and she's like, "Can I have some lunch, please?" And Tammy's like you should probably take it to go. Like I don't know if this is a good idea. And she turns around, like everyone in the diner, like it's every single family, is like
yeah,
glaring at her, and she gets uncomfortable. She stays anyway, but like it's definitely like one of those moments where she feels like discriminated against, I guess, like
yeah,
she's being hated on.
yeah,
And she gets home, and Kevin is like seizing all of her stuff, like the person that plays Kevin, like the FBI agent, and they arrest her for like being a possible communist. Like they're just like, you're a
yeah, yeah,
communist, we're gonna take all your stuff, we're gonna take your heirlooms, etc., etc. And so then it cuts to Thomasina and Abigail, and they're going through Fen stuff at the same time. They find like forged writing, like of a signature. They find the Blossom stamp, and then this is when Abigail finally realizes, like, oh snap, like he is actually lying to me. Like there's some sketchy things happening. And then Thomasina like pulls up a few things, and she's like, he's in the dark arts. Like there's like a puppet and like there's like these like whatever little articles, and she says that he's a warlock.
mm-hmm.
And then Abigail's like, how do you know that? And Thomasina's like, I know of these things. I was like, are we going to continue? Like, how
Like,
you
are you
know
gonna
these
tell us?
things?
Like, Ambrose? Like,
Yeah,
tell us
yeah. Like,
more.
tell us more. It's so true. Like, that would have been a good opportunity. Anyways, she ends up finding like a bunch of these death portraits. So they're essentially like pictures of people who have been killed or who are dead. And they're propped up in a chair. They used to do this apparently like way back in the day. Like this is an actual thing that they would do. They would like capture like a portrait of dead people. But there's a lot of like, anyway, it's an actual thing that used to
Well,
happen.
and they're like his trophies, right? Like, because he's a serial killer. So,
But yeah, for him, it's like a serial killer thing. Like
Yeah.
he like collects them. So she finds all these pictures. Then she finds a picture of her brother, as one of the last ones. So he was obviously killed by this guy,
Oh my
and then
God.
like propped up and taking the picture. So she's like, oh my God, he killed my brother. So as they're putting all this stuff away, he comes back from hunting, and he like opens a door. He sees that they're like rummaging through the stuff, and he grabs Thomasina with like the axe to her neck, and he basically says like, if you don't marry me, like I'm gonna murder her. So like do what I say. And Abigail's like, okay, sounds good. I guess we have to find a vicar, which
Again,
is,
are you telling me in that moment she couldn't use witchcraft to like do something?
you know, I think that I think that her character, like even though she's like magic, she's not like Sabrina magic. She's not like lightning bolts out of her
Yeah,
hands or
yeah.
anything. She's more just like,
It's in
here's a
there
potion.
somewhere.
Like
Yeah,
here's
yeah,
like
yeah.
something to help you for your stomach, upset stomach. Like nothing crazy. Um So
Oh,
anyway,
so stupid.
like here, this you
Here's
take this
some
for
Tums.
diarrhea. Yeah. So they need to find a vicar, which I think is like probably like an officiant who like will like make this
Vicar.
a vicar,
I don't know.
an officiant, and she's like, okay, well, we have to go into town, and he's like, no, you're gonna go into town, and if you don't come back in an hour, like I'm gonna kill this woman. And so Abigail has to leave, find a vicar for the evening because he wants to get married like tonight. Then
Where
it
the
cuts
ring go? Where the ring?
where that ring at though. So then Poppy is being interrogated by Kevin, and he's like grilling her. He's like, I know you're a communist, just like tell me you're a communist and just sign these
Like
papers and we
again,
can like
he's
be on our way.
wrong. He's always
Again,
wrong in
always
any
wrong.
investigation, in anything that he does. He is
In life.
wrong.
Yeah. It's terrible, awful. And he's saying this, and she's like, I'm against witch hunts and groupthink. Like, I'm just a free thinker. It has nothing to do with me being a communist. And he's like, I want a confession or you're going to jail. And I was thinking about this. I was like, what was her option? If she signed the paper, was she going to be set free?
I
Like,
guess.
If you confess to being a communist, don't you go to jail?
Is that what the paper was, to confess that she's a commie?
That she's a communist, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Yeah,
like,
she would have been gone to jail, or they would
either
have killed her.
either way, like straight to jail. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand like what her options were at that point in time. And it comes up a little bit later. Actually, it comes up right now because then Poppy's in jail and Bitsy comes to visit her. And Bitsy's like, you have to sign these papers. And Poppy says like, no, I'm doing this for us and like all of womankind.
Mhm.
And this is the part again that I didn't really understand. I was like, why is she so reluctant to do it? Is it because like she doesn't want to tarnish her name, or like is she actually going to get something good out of this? Like he didn't even say like, if you sign this paper you're going to go free. Like he didn't even say any of that. So like my assumption is she's going to go to jail either way. So I was like, why would she sign the fucking papers? So Bitsy's like, sign the paper. She's like, no, I'm not doing it. And then it turns out that Bitsy is pregnant, and Poppy is like, don't worry, we can get through this. And she's out here thinking that like they have something, but Bitsy's still afraid, and she pulls away and she's like, this isn't good for us. You are not good for me. Like I need to go back and be pregnant with my husband. And then she dips. Then it shows Cheryl talking in the present, and she's telling the story, and she's like, they didn't see each other for the next 9 months, which obviously is like she's having the baby.
Yeah.
And then Britta's like, why? What happened? Then it cuts to Poppy back in jail, and now Jack, aka Jughead, is asking for help because Bitsy's now about to have the baby, but something's wrong, and she's like, she's only asking for you. Like if you don't come, like she's gonna freak out.
Yeah.
And he says, like, I promise that I will help you be released from jail if you help her deliver the baby.
Yeah.
And so she's like, Avi, I'm coming, come through. So then she goes and helps deliver the baby. And it flashes back and forth between Poppy and Abigail at this point in time. So it flashes with Abigail getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And another shout out song that I had to write down. This song is called Riverside by Obel. Again, beautiful montage.
I feel like
Check
they
that
might have
one out.
played this one already, like in a previous
Like in another
episode, because it's so
episode.
perfect for
Yeah.
like by the riverside,
Like Riverside, Riverdale.
like Jason's body.
True. So while both events are happening, Bailey's comet passes by in like two different moments. So the first moment is when Poppy's helping Bitsy give birth, and she gives birth, and she says, here's a pouch and you'll know what to do when to use it. Like she doesn't even really give any more context past that. And then Abigail is getting married to Fen at this point in time. There's like a montage, and then he's like, all right, wife, it's time for like us
He looked
womanly
so funny.
duties.
And it's like what, like tidy whities. He's like, come
Yeah.
down here.
He's like, it's time to go. Yeah. So then she comes in and she's like, do you know what happened in Massachusetts with Lizzie Borden? Shout out to Lizzie Borden mythology. And then she goes, she killed all of her oppressors with an axe. And so she comes in, she's like, she like stabs him.
I loved it.
This thing that killed me, because I was like, she stabbed him like quite a bit. I thought that he was DEAD, but he wasn't. Anyway, so as soon as she stabs him with the axe, she like runs over. She tries to find Thomasina. She can't find her. She finally finds her, and she died. She died. She died. I don't know how she died.
I don't know. What did he do to her? They didn't really say.
They don't really say. My assumption is she probably got like strangled to death, because like doesn't look like there was like wounds on her body.
No blood or anything. Yeah.
But so she's like propped up in this chair. She's dead. She's holding a picture of herself. In the picture, she's dead, which is kind of fucked up. And so he comes in, and he's not dead yet. And he's like,
how is he not dead? I guess because he's a warlock. Like maybe he can't die.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, maybe he had some like extra magical powers. So he comes, he like limps in, and he says like, she was like the best death ever, like LOL. And
hashtag winning.
Hashtag killed it, literally. And so she ends up like getting really upset, but she doesn't do anything about it. And he's like, you're a monster, I hate you. And as soon as he curses her, he's like cursing her a life of being like solitary and lonely. The comet passes through, and he's like, perfect timing, like cosmic curse, whatever. So now she's cosmically cursed to be alone for the rest of her life.
What a bad luck. What a bad luck.
What a shame.
Cosmically cursed.
Cosmically cursed.
Jeez.
Doesn't get worse than that.
Doesn't get worse than cosmically cursed.
So then Poppy comes out of the hospital room, because now the baby's been born. And Jack is like, sickening, my baby's born. And this is when Kevin, once again, useless as F,
had to come through right there.
Arrests her
in the moment.
Arrests her, and she's like, what the hell? Like, I helped you, said that I could stay out now. And he's like, I said that you won't be behind bars, but now you're going to be in Thornhill, and you're basically going to be under house arrest for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh.
Like, geez Louise, the things that they do to communists, like, fucked up. So then it cuts back to the present, and Abigail is like, she finishes the story. Abigail is left alone in Thornhill for the rest of her life, and same with Poppy. And then Britta asks about Bitsy, and it shows that Bitsy poisons her husband. I didn't know if we needed this scene necessarily. Like, it was cool that she like did it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but yeah, to your point, it's like, what did it matter if she killed someone? Like,
now the real question is, and this is the thing that I always like wonder about, why they leave these little Easter eggs. Like, will we now find out who Bitsy gave birth to, or are we to assume that Bitsy is Betty?
That's what I thought they were gonna cover. They didn't, because like that baby being born on that night has a significance, in my opinion.
Me too. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's what you would think,
100%.
But then they don't say who it is. So I'm like, okay, I guess that was just like a random like thing that happened that night. Then,
like, was it Alice?
Was that Nana Rose? Was it Nana?
No.
No, it couldn't have been.
No,
right?
That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. No, it doesn't make sense. But
then, anyways, they don't even say it. But again, there was an opportunity for a really cool like twist there to say like, this is whoever it is that we know now, maybe.
Because she tells her, because she's like, this baby's gonna be like sickening, like she's gonna be like the best child of all time. Like, that's what
like, I wonder
Poppy says to her. There was like no reason for her not to say that if she wasn't gonna she could have just like left the room and been like, oh, I delivered the baby, I'm done. But she had to say it. So like, for some reason, anyway, it's stuck with me now. So like, I wonder if they're gonna bring that back later. Who knows? So then it cuts to her like poisoning her husband. Again, a scene that I didn't really need, unless we have to believe that Bitsy, because she has this like murdering spree,
she has like serial killer gene.
Serial killer fucking
gene comes through, man. Again.
We can't.
Best supporting actress goes to Kevin Keller, and best supporting actor goes to the serial killer gene. This thing does not die.
It does not like, let up. It's like Scream 7.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's just like fucking Michael Myers up in this gig.
Oh, it's exhausting.
Anyway, so
no, but you have a good point there, and I wonder if they'll ever go back down the Cooper maybe line and like explore those things, but I don't
like
know.
How much more do we need about
I know, no, you're right, but then why do all of that? Like, why even show that scene? Like,
I don't know.
Just to show that like she's getting revenge, I guess. Like finally.
Like, which was not necessary. Like I didn't need any of that.
Girl, who's gonna take care of your babies now?
She didn't have to give her a pouch. She didn't have to like murder her husband. Like she didn't have to do any of those things, in my opinion. But she doesn't even end up like living with Abigail. She doesn't even like go and like save her. Or sorry, Poppy.
Yeah.
She doesn't like.
No, I know. Yeah, you're right.
So like, there's no reason.
So it's like now you have 2 babies and you have no baby daddy.
Yeah, so useless.
So like, who lost here?
Who really lost here? So then we get a knock on the door in the present time, and it's our girl Sabrina coming in at the last 5 minutes of the episode.
Last 5 minutes of the episode. Literally, everyone on Twitter is like, "Where is Sabrina? Where is Sabrina?" I'm like, "Of course."
Last minute.
So I was thinking she was gonna come like right at the end, and then we're gonna get next week.
Right.
That's what I thought, because I'm like, okay, they can't not like give her like a whole episode,
a moment. Yeah.
No. They gave her like 7.5 minutes, and that was
7.5.
Not even. I don't even.
Not
think
even 7.5. I think
it was like
3
5.
minutes of screen time. 3 minutes of screen time. I'm pretty sure. Like she just got paid for 3 minutes and then called it a day. That's a nice paycheck, Kieran and Shipka. I'm really proud of you. Like progress, you know what I mean?
It was good. Like she came to do a job, I understand, but like the way you guys hype these shows up, like I don't know, like RAS, like
stop doing this to
just
us.
Say she's coming. Like just say she's coming. Like I'm gonna watch because I know she's coming. But don't tell me it's like chaos, like crossover, like this Sabrina like episode. Like it wasn't a Sabrina episode, it was Cheryl episode. For you to like, I know maybe they weren't calling it that, but like the fandom was like going off and calling it that. It's like offensive to like Cheryl because like she killed the episode. Like she was everything.
Exactly. So, she literally carried the entire episode, so it's not really fair. And it's not really fair to Kieran and Shipka or Sabrina, the character, to just like roll in at the very end. To be completely honest, in my personal opinion, they should have switched Britta's character with Sabrina. She should have come in at the very beginning and been like, let's do the ritual from the top, but like we need to start with this story so you can like understand my history. That would have been
so good.
And then like maybe Sabrina could have asked a few questions like, oh, what happened to Poppy? Like I didn't know that about my like great grandfriend. Like, you know, like I would have liked a little bit more of that context. Like who's Britta to me? Like Britta's like, who cares?
Something even bigger. If Sabrina was in one of those worlds, like if she did know Poppy, if she like poked her head in and she was like, hey girl, because then after she says something like it's been so long, or like something to the thing of like they've known each other for a long time.
You know what would have been really cool if she like came in as like a passing character, like one of the women who like would pick up like a trinket from her. Yeah. Just like you wouldn't even just, like, notice
no
her.
lines. Like not even
no
the lines.
She would come in and she would like pop out.
But like
and
you know that she's there.
She's there. She's around. You like saw her in a moment, and like then that's the connection. Like she was like one of her customers that they knew for all these generations. Like or anything, literally anything would have been helpful.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway, I think that was a bit of a miss, but maybe it's quarantine, maybe it's COVID. Like who knows? Like we don't know like what.
But like you have her, so like clearly you could have just added an extra scene on. And it's funny because yesterday or the day before, RAS releases a deleted scene. Like we just filmed this.
When it was so weird because when I was watching it, it was almost like he recorded it off of his iPhone.
Yeah, like, I was wondering what that sound was.
He was like recording a bootleg version of his own show. Like
he was like on set, but like in Video Village, and he was like recording like the screen of what they were recording like in the studio. Like it was weird. I could hear things, and I was like, what is he? I don't know yet. But he releases this deleted scene, and I say deleted because like it's not. I don't think it was deleted. I think it was added. To make sense of this. I
guess I don't like that's the thing. I wonder if it was something that would have been at the end of the series finale.
I don't
of
think
Chaos.
So. I think they reshot it.
Got like picked up. Who knows?
I think they reshot it for this because it sounded like he was like, thank you to Miranda. Da, 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 da. It was like almost like they added this like extra scene on. So anyways, in the scene basically, she comes back and like even the other aunt's not even in it. It was like just her. Like wouldn't it have been like if it was Chaos, like if it was part of the show, it would have been like Ambrose, Hilda,
everybody
and her
coming together.
You know what I mean? Like it would have been more of like a full production.
But I guess Zelda was the one that had the connection to him, like that
to that guy. I guess it just felt very like after. Anyways, it doesn't matter if it was after fact or before. But basically, it's like she's like on a Zoom call with this guy, and she's like, "Hey, so my niece is dead. Like, can you just bring her back?" And he's like, "Yeah, cool." And then she's back. I was like,
thanks.
That's
Appreciate it.
Like you ended an entire series.
Yeah.
Because she died and that was easy. Like those.
Yeah.
So easy.
And she even says in the deleted scene, like, anything, like, I'll do anything, like, whatever the price is. So then now my question is like, what did you give up, girl? Like, I don't know.
What did you get? And she's like, please, it's not fair. She's just a young witch.
A young witch.
I'm like, I thought witches don't die.
Anyway, very confusing. Very confusing.
Anyway, so he releases this like the day before. So of course,
yes. So now we know why Sabrina
we're messaging each other. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, of course, like he needs to cover up this plot hole.
Because we were gonna like rip him to shit. Yeah.
We were thinking like, if she's dead in that world, this must have happened before, because then she's dead. But they didn't even go there. They were just like, no, she is alive. She's alive.
But then also she's alive in Rivervale, not in Riverdale. Like, I'm very confused, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone,
so
I'm confused.
Anyway, so she shows up and, you know.
Like, that's the thing. Not to like keep harping on it, but we're at the end of the episode pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm just confused as to like, I thought that this 5-episode arc was going to give us more answers as to why we're in Riverdale to begin with. And we're really not getting any answers.
Not at all. I think everything is next week.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But shout out to the video that we put together, and be like did her magic and edited a little bit of like a Riverdale theories video this week, so check it out on our YouTube page.
We have actually 2 videos. We have the Riverdale theories, which definitely, guys, check it out. It's on our YouTube, and that kind of goes through our theories. I feel like half of them are out the window now that we've gone through.
But then also they're not really, because at the same time, like there's so many questions that are still unanswered.
True.
Like so many of them
still
haven't even come to fruition. We
because
haven't
the Cheryl one doesn't
Riverdale
make sense. Yeah.
Anyway.
And then we also made a video because I know we didn't get to the end of the scene.
We didn't get to the end of it, but let's talk about it at the end of this. That's the second video that we're gonna shout out in a second. So anyway, Sabrina comes to the door. We're not even done with that part. She tells her that like her and like their covens like play softball together. I don't know if that was like a lesbian joke or what. Like I didn't get any of that.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah.
So then she's
wait,
like,
but she's not.
Anyway, but she's like here. She's like, I'm here to do a transference, which can only be done with like when there's a big cosmic event like Bailey's Comet.
Yeah.
So that's why they're doing it. Then they start the process, and then I wrote, and then they switch her body, ? And then they bring Abigail. They bring back Abigail, put her into Nana's body, and then Nana dies.
No, so they take the soul of Cheryl, aka Abigail.
Right.
They put her into Nana.
Yes.
And then Nana's soul comes into Cheryl. And then basically Abigail, Poppy, and Cheryl are now gone to heaven to be
in Nana's body.
Yes. Because she's carrying their soul now, because Nana's like dead. The body of Nana.
The body is dead.
And then now they go to the afterlife, and like she's with Thomasina. So basically whoever's in Cheryl is Nana. Roseanne.
What? Mine's like question marks.
So
everywhere.
yeah, I mean, now breaking it down after spending like 15 hours just talking about this,
yeah,
making a video, I kind of understand it.
Yeah.
And like I love our listeners because like right away our listeners are like, don't worry, like we'll explain it to you. And like we got like voice notes and like people texting us being like, this is what it means. But yeah, guys, we made a video. It's on our Instagram. We're not gonna play it here because then we'll get banned off YouTube. But it's on our Instagram. It basically goes through like this whole thing and like what it all means.
Yeah.
It's a really funny video. Watch it and like the video.
I died. It was so
and
funny.
Explains basically what this whole transference is. But basically, Britta killed me this whole time because she's like, what?
What?
She's like, I don't get it. And then Sabrina's like, okay, let me take this on. Like, let me do this.
I was like, but you didn't help.
You don't even get it either.
You didn't get it. You didn't give me any explanation that's going to help this conversation at all. Very unhelpful.
No. So then they try to explain it like one more time. And then there's like a really cute cutscene with like, like in the afterlife with like, I guess it's Abigail / Poppy / Cheryl running to Thomasina,
who's at her grave, just like staring for eternity at her own grave.
Yeah.
And then they hug, and then they have their
little moment. Sorry, real quick. Does this mean now that Rose is in Cheryl's body that she's not going to love Cheryl anymore? I mean, Tony.
You're asking too many questions. That's the thing that I was just dying at. Because like, literally at the very end of it, Nana Rose, she's like, I get to live my youth once again. And I was like, but we don't know Nana. Like, we don't know her.
Yeah, and
we know
even Britta was like,
Cheryl.
Cheryl's dead, and then Sabrina's like, yeah, no, she's not. I'm like, yes, she is though. Like, she's gone.
She's
like, she
gone.
lives on in all of us. I'm like, bitch, do not
Don't
give me
give me
that
that.
for that.
Don't give
like,
me that fucking
she's like,
line.
we don't
Yeah.
die. She's like, we transfer. I'm like, she is
Yeah.
not transferred here. This is Nana Rose.
She transferred out of that body. That's what she did.
Out of the world.
she transferred out of this class for sure.
Like, they don't even know what they're saying as the episode's like unraveling. Like,
exactly. That's why I was like, okay, this is where the writing gets a little.
And Britta's like,
sketchy.
bring Cheryl back, please.
She's like, can you tell her to come back?
Control Z. Like, how do I undo this?
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. Like, who is Nana as a leader? Who is Nana as like
even as a person? Like, we don't even really know her character. Like,
we don't really know her. If anything, we know her as a sketchy woman who knows all the secrets of freaking Riverdale. Yeah. Outside of that, we don't really know anything about her.
So now we're supposed to just continue on with her person in Cheryl's body.
What I would have been okay with is if she like absorbed the soul with Nana Rose into Cheryl's body and just called it a day.
Yeah, like, but then she can't be with Thomasina.
I don't fucking know what's going on.
She's chasing the taco. She can't give up the taco. Like, she wants the taco. Like, you're trying to go to the afterlife. Like, just stay here. Everyone needs you. But you're right. She's like, I'm out. And it's like,
what? Like,
okay, and also no, I can't even.
And also, I really quickly, does this mean that when she saw Tony, that she knew that was Thomasina's like girl, like that was her like a descendant from time, and that's why they had such a connection?
Exactly. Then she would have been like, hey, I know you, or you look familiar.
Make it make sense. I don't know, man.
You're right, because then it would have been Abigail, Poppy, and her in Cheryl's body. But like, what, like, if you want to look into like how people think about like past life and like that realm of things, they say that like you don't fully remember things in your past life, like you remember like fragments, or like you connect with certain energies, which would make sense as to why she's attracted to Tony. But this is not a regular human being like thing. This is a witch, like a witch, like intentionally transferred her body. So like she should be remembering everything that happened in her other one. Or
maybe she didn't. Like, we don't really know like what I don't know.
There's
really
just like
entailed.
Not a lot of like,
Let's just assume that is the case, but at the same time there is a few holes. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I know it's so weird to say because it's still Cheryl, it's still Madeline Page playing Cheryl, but like I don't know how I feel about
I'm telling
Cheryl.
you, I felt very like I was like bring her back, please. Like
I don't know this Nana. Like I don't.
She's like, ew, I'm back to my like youthfulness.
Like,
I was like, ew, no.
It's gonna be so weird. Like in the real world, she's gonna be like, now that I'm an 87-year-old and a 17 and like 25-year-old
does that still make
body.
her a lesbian? Because like her soul is like, you know what I mean? Like it's a different person. Like
that's the part that
like they've now entered a whole nother realm of this character, and like I said, maybe that is they're doing it in Riverdale, so that like this doesn't even apply in Riverdale. Like Cheryl is still Cheryl.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean?
But then why tell this whole story? Because it does.
They need to take up an episode.
They needed to fill up the storyline. Yeah, somebody got this one. I don't know. It was good. That's the thing. It's annoying because it was a good episode, probably up until this part, because I was so confused.
Same.
But at the same time, like I want to know what's really transferable to Riverdale. What really makes sense? Are we still gonna get the sassy, savage Cheryl that we know and love? Or are we gonna get it like a Nana who's like, I love everyone and I forgive the whole town, and that's how the whole curse is broken? Like, who knows next episode if Nana's going to be the one to be like, you know what? Let bygones be bygones. Like, I'm done. I'm good. Like, my ancestors in heaven now. Like, we're good to go. Like, I don't know.
Why even do this whole transference thing? Like, they could have just brought Sabrina in, let Nana Rose go, and maybe Sabrina could have like sort of like the curse that the warlock had put on her. Sabrina could have like broken it, and then like she could have gone and been with her girl. That makes more sense. And then Cheryl just could have been Cheryl. Like, it didn't even need to be this complex. And that's what I left. And I was like, why did they do this? Especially because look at all these holes that we're finding. And it makes it feel less genuine when you
Yeah.
find these holes, because you're like, that doesn't really make sense though.
You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen a movie, and shout out to anyone else who feels the same way, you watch this ghost story and you're so enraptured and you're like, oh my God, they're like layering all these amazing ghost stories, la da da da. And then at the very end, the explanation literally makes like absolutely no sense. Or like, we transferred this and this person's soul is in here. And I'm like, we didn't need that whole last part. We just could have just enjoyed the magic and the mystery of like this part of it. We didn't need like 100% agree with you. Else.
I 100% agree with you.
Else,
and like, it's too bad because like I said, the whole journey I loved, it was this ending that like felt so whack. And just seeing people's Twitter, everyone's like, what the hell's going on? Like you're expecting people to catch on to that. You didn't even show a diagram. Like people were like, what? So Cheryl is, and even Britta was like, so Cheryl's then gone. No, Cheryl's not gone because she's this. And it's like, all I care about is my character Cheryl. What are you doing with her?
What did
like
you do
that's
to
all
her?
We care about. You know what I mean?
Is she dead now? Yeah, exactly. It was
I just feel like they did not need to get this complex. Sabrina still could have come and like still done a spell with her. That's fine. Yeah. It did not need to be like this insane.
Did not have to be this way.
No. Again, but maybe because it's Riverdale, it is like this. And I wonder if in Riverdale, it'll be like a more toned down spell. I don't know.
Like maybe in the real Riverdale, like Nana actually is the one that dies. Like, and maybe like we just have to believe that like she's actually dead and like there's no magic involved in her death.
Yeah.
There's no transference in the real world. Who knows? Who knows what they're going to do next episode? Anyway, Jughead closes up the episode. He's like, happy, sad ending, just like our girl Sabrina says. And he like walks away. And then the final sign, which we've been seeing change every single time, it says, witches be here. That's what it says. Shout out to witches be here.
So it's that's the end of the episode, right?
Yup. Let's get into are we gonna get into our roundups?
I really want to talk about something real quick. So the more we're getting into it, I mean, we're almost at the end of this 5 episode. By the way, one of our listeners pointed this out. I think they said something about the Flash. And it's so funny because I quickly like read it. I didn't really understand it because we don't watch the show. But last night when I was waiting for Riverdale to start, it was the end of the Flash. And it was like the 5 episode series finishes next week. And I'm like, what? They're having a 5 episode special event too? Like, is every CW show getting a 5 episode event?
The funny thing is like Riverdale is probably one of the last CW shows to do something like this, where like they do like a multiverse crossover freaking event. Every single time I hear about the Flash, it's like Supergirl and the Flash, and they're all mixing together and like multi-worlds and like all this stuff. And it makes sense in a comic book, but in this story, it's just like
superhero. I mean, it can work. I think it still can work. I think they just went way too complex. My other point is, I don't know if you watched this, if anyone did, but WandaVision. This Riverdale is starting to really look like WandaVision.
It's giving that vibe.
Yeah, 100%. Like in the sense of what this could mean as to what Riverdale is. I feel like it's going to be a WandaVision type of answer. I won't say exactly what it is, but if you've watched it, maybe you sort of can pick up on the connections. Whoever's listening. That's what I remembered when I was watching. I'm like, this seems like that show. Anyways. Again, another I think CW show, or I can't remember what network it's on. But
WandaVision, I think it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, Disney Plus. Okay.
Shout out to Disney.
Anyways, it might be something like that. We're at the end of the episode.
Let's get into it. We just spent the last 15 minutes talking about how confusing the last like 10 minutes.
I mean, it was though. Like
Anyway, let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
6 minutes with Sabrina, because I know it was fast. It was 6 minutes.
5 minutes in heaven.
I still loved it. I still love her and seeing her on screen. I just wish it was for longer, obviously, but it definitely was like one of my favorite moments of the episode.
Big highlight for sure. I mean, you're right. It was too short for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
My best moment is gonna go to. It was 2 scenes, but the first one really was like the best moment, because when I saw it, I was like, I wrote it down right away and I didn't change it until the very end. But that opening sequence when we see them all getting ready, I just like big ups to the editing, big ups to the way that they cut that together, the art of it all. It was beautifully shot and done. Well done. Loved it. I also love the final scene because you get to see Thomasina like finally embracing Abigail after like generations. I thought that was really cute. And then we got that little song at the end too. That other song.
WTF moment.
I think it's pretty much yours. More so the transference scene.
Definitely WTF.
Being like, what?
100%.
Like,
yeah,
I literally was like, what?
Yeah.
Huh?
I was very confused. Very confused.
So confusing.
So I'll take the other one. Mine was Thomasina being dead. Not that I didn't expect her to be dead. I almost forgot about her for a second, to be honest. But when she shows up and she's like sitting in this chair, it was just very macabre. And I was like, I didn't realize that they were just going to have this dead body sitting there. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
That's some shady stuff.
Yeah.
MVP.
Who's your MVP?
MVP, obviously, we have the same one. It's Cheryl, Madeleine. Like, she is amazing.
She slayed.
She slayed. Because funny, because last week we didn't see her at all, and we were like, she's gonna get a whole episode next week, and she really did.
She
times
did.
3, because she played freaking 3 characters.
3 characters. Yeah.
It was amazing. But I do want to say Britta for literally being the audience and asking the questions that we deserved.
Like, what happened?
We didn't really understand the ansers. She asked the questions.
She asked the questions.
Really
we didn't get the
matters.
answers, but she didn't get the answers either.
Yeah.
LVP.
Who's your LVP? And we got the same LVP.
Kevin, obviously.
Kev.
Loser.
Literally across all history, Kevin is a loser.
It's funny how even our listeners were like, every single universe, generation,
any iteration
decade,
of Kevin is
he's a
fucking
loser.
fail. Yeah.
It's funny because I thought about this. I was like, why would they give him this character? Like, I literally thought he was gonna be like a closeted like gay dad and like kind of like
not?
Sympathetic to like what she's going through in that like generation or that time. No, they made him the complete opposite. And I was like, I think they're doing this because like when they give her an episode, they have to give him one that's like comparable in terms of like airtime. That's my only logistical like thing is like they're giving her a whole episode. They can give him like a main character in that episode at least.
But it still doesn't speak to the fact that, to your point, they could have given him a different storyline. Give him the airtime that he needs to like whatever, but like they didn't have to give him this storyline. Like,
I guess,
it's not necessary.
but there was no time to tell that story as well.
The gay story too,
which is like very like, you know, like
you think that they would have just like lumped them together and been like I would have been okay with that. It's not about like bringing them together because they do have the same fucking issues. Anyway, very confusing. I didn't like his character. He sucks. And it's annoying because it doesn't make us like Kevin any more than we should.
No,
like,
not at all.
There's nothing that's like, it's literally like they're trying to make us hate him so we can kill him off at some point.
I honestly hope like in 30 years, like Casey Cott writes like a tell-all book and he's like, this is how they did me dirty on Riverdale. Because like they throw him to the trash every week.
For
like,
sure. I agree.
But then they'll give him like one stage performance. They're like, are you happy? He's like, yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. We're gonna like make you the asshole like next week. Like
like gag order, but like he's an asshole every week. That's the problem. It's not like he gets any better every single time.
At least, so but like I feel like they like try to like appease him by like giving him like a singing moment, and then they're like, okay.
They're like, do you want to sing? He's like, okay, fine, I'll stay. That sounds fine. Okay, I'll take it.
The best line.
What was your best line?
Best line is happy, sad endings are the best.
That's Sabrina, and mine is also from Sabrina. She says, she continues that sentence, I think. She says, there's no death for witches, only transformation. I mean, I died and I came back, and I was like, but did you really?
But did you really though? Like, really?
Let's not talk about this right now.
She's very bratty. Like, she made
just end off the character.
That line
really
sounds
bratty,
to
though.
me that like she did the work. Like she's like, I came back. No,
like,
you
didn't.
didn't. You were fine being dead in heaven with your boyfriend. Your aunt brought you back.
Yeah, exactly. And like, what are you doing now? You're eating ice cream with who? Nick is dead. So, like, fuck off.
By the way, he's on that new show that Mindy Kaling made.
Oh no way!
Sex Lives of College
I still haven't
Girls.
watched
He's in that show. Yeah.
Oh my god, so hot.
Yeah.
Let's get into our listener roundups.
Let's get into it. At Shoni5 on it. Best moment, seeing Sabrina and Abigail's storyline. Worst moment, she added a thing in there. Worst moment, Drew's acting. He either overacts with fangs or doesn't act well at all. It's so funny because I did notice this episode. Like he was trying to like put this weird accent on. Like when he was like when he said certain words, he's like letter. Here is your letter. I'm like, bro, just calm down. Like, just act
It's like a
normal.
high school play. The way
he's
like,
not a
doing
good
it.
actor. When I read that, I started laughing because of like, best line. When Thomasina is talking to Abigail about them being intertwined, or when Sabrina asks them to go to Pops. MVP for playing all three characters. Cheryl for playing all three characters. She did it so well. Sabrina, because I love Sabrina, and I don't know, the actress looks so different, more mature. LVP Kevin or Kirk, Jack Jones, and Fangs Drew for his overacting.
The shade on Drew's
On
overacting. You know what? I did notice it. I will say that, but I will say I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that he might have done it on purpose, just because of the world that he was in. He wasn't playing it like in a way that like I'm supposed to be like, ooh, he's playing a compelling murderer. I felt like he was playing a caricature of a thing, but almost on purpose. But that could just be me defending him because he's so hot. I don't know. You're like, no comment.
No, he's
So at CRN says best moment, Sabrina arriving in Thornhill, even if it was only for 5 minutes. It would have been cool if this episode was a special crossover event and the extended episode, so we had like 45 minutes of the Abigail Poppy stuff and then 45 minutes with Cheryl and Sabrina. Agreed, because to your point, MB, they do that ish all the time in other CW shows, so they could have made this like a 2-hour event, you know what I mean?
Would you have wanted that though?
I mean, not for this story, because it still wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I think that it would have been cool to see it, like just to the point of what Sieren's saying. It's like just to have that interaction. If you're gonna say it's a crossover, like make it a crossover.
Yeah, exactly. I think I needed less of what we got and just more of Sabrina and this whole crossover idea.
And almost like an all encapsulated story that only matters for those 2 episodes, which that is what a real crossover usually does. WTF moment, Sabrina trying to explain the whole transference to Britta, because at first I didn't catch on what she did. LOL. You're not the only one, girl. MVP Madeline for carrying the whole episode. This is by far one of the best episodes of the whole series, and I found it so interesting. Same. It's definitely up there for me for sure. LVP Kevin for being a waste man in the past and present. Like, seriously, when will he be useful? 100% agree. He was actually worse in this episode, in this world. Best line: men are monsters. Poppy or Abigail, they both slander men at some point, as they should. LOL. Loves it.
Thanks, guys.
Did we get any more? I feel like we got a bunch from
we
Instagram.
Got more, but like I looked and like I didn't see any.
I think there's one in Instagram for sure.
Oh,
I feel
cat. I got it. Cat. There's cat.
Kitty cat.
And then
Meow, meow, meow.
Okay, let me just do that one real quick.
Yeah.
We got one from Kat from Instagram. MVP Madeline. The woman really delivered on all fronts. Period. I don't know how she did that, but she did the damn thing. Best moment: London Grammar played 3 times. It was heavenly, and Sabrina made me smile. I don't know, something about her lights me up. It's so true that also the song was killer.
Was
Loved
freaking
it.
lit. Yeah.
LVP, I'm sure we share these, so I'm gonna let this one go. WTF moments: all these abusers and manipulators. Charles playing a Vicar, Sir Sabrina appearing in the last 5 minutes. Excuse me, what in the world? The clickbait. It was total clickbait. Like, it was ridiculous.
100%.
Like, best line, I don't understand, by Britta. Awesome.
That is actually the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Because it was so accurate. Is there anything else? Any other
I'm seeing just a bunch of comments. People said they liked the episode. Everyone's really wondering like what's gonna cross over to Riverdale. We're always very thankful for all of your comments and commentary. So please just keep tuning in and letting us know what you thought about the episode. So we don't think that we're crazy thinking what we think about the episode.
And do you guys want to see more of a Sabrina crossover? Like, do you want to see her come back? Do you want a bigger crossover? She sounds like she wants to come back. Like, Kieran's like, I think on his D, like she's ready to come back.
She's probably like, I don't
honestly,
have a job
guys,
right
like
now.
I don't know if I'm down anymore. Like, the way they did this, I'm like, what else can you bring to the table that like I'm gonna get excited about? If next season is the last season, like, do we even have time for that? You know? Exactly.
And I just think that like the one thing that I got excited about, which is funny, is when she says like, oh, let's talk it over like a milkshake at Pops. I was like, oh, we're gonna get more for next episode.
Oh,
but I'm assuming that that's not going to be the case, right? She's only in for episode 4.
Somebody messaged me. They're like, no, she's not coming next week. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Like,
Thank you.
I was hopeful. But, like,
Sorry for being hopeful. Gosh. Yeah, so that is the episode, everyone. Let us know your comments on what you thought about this episode just in general, because it was a wild one for sure. I would like to take this time to thank our patrons of our episode, our Rewinder Squad, White and Nicole, our Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Soleil, and Kate, and our Mommy Rewinders and our Daddy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Cliff. Thank you.
If you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind.
And also make sure you are all checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. As we mentioned before, you can also find us on every single podcast platform: Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes.
Everywhere.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and review to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thank you so much for listening. We are getting to episode 1. Oh my God, it's episode 100.
100.
Oh
What do you guys want to see from us next week? Like, we should do something that's like lit. Like,
I know. I was thinking about that. What do you want to see?
guys want to see from us?
If you guys give us something that is, and it gets upvoted enough, we will do it.
We will do it.
Just
but
give
that
us
would mean that you have stuck around to this point in the podcast. So
To let
hopefully you
us know.
did. Hopefully you did.
That's a little test. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.